Hi everyone, Unimace here, back for the week 3 update of my learning and improvement journey. If you missed the previous weeks, check out the playlist in the description to catch up on my progress so far. This week wasn't perfect. I had to skip a day of learning because I had some car troubles, and also the stress got me to cut back on the fasting. Honestly, I thought about quitting altogether, but here's what I've learned. Progress isn't about perfection. In the past, setbacks like this would completely derail me. I was so focused on keeping the perfect streak that I would end up quitting altogether. But I've learned that an imperfect week still counts, and the only thing that matters is to keep going. As always, I'll start with the courses, then move on to the books, and finally the totals, how much time I've studied, how much weight I've lost, and how much fasting time did I do this week. So let's check it out. This week I finished the radicals and rational exponents section by doing the last 30 or so problems, and then I moved on to the polynomial section where I did the lecture and all of the 168 problems that were there, and after that I moved on to the factoring polynomial section where I did the first 20 or something problems. So all in all, I did 220 or 230 problems in total this week. My brain is still recovering, so for next week the plan is to finish the factoring polynomial section with all the problems that are there, and then probably move on to the next section. For the Japanese from Zero book, I revisited the lesson 1 and 2 to solidify the basics, and then I moved on to lesson 3, which was basically creating the question who or dare in Japanese, and it introduced a lot of new words again and 10 new hiragana characters. This week, this was the course that was toughest for me, and I'll need to revisit the lesson 1, 2, and 3 next week, and after that, if I'm good to go, I will take the next step into lesson 4. For the CS50's introduction to computer science, I finished the lecture 4, which was algorithms, and I finished the corresponding problem set. The toughest thing was that I encountered for the first time in this course pre-written code that I needed to understand, and after that I needed to make my own functions to make that code work. It was tough, but I realized that I need to do this in order to collaborate with other people and in order to be able to read other people's code. For next week, my goal is to watch lecture 5, which is all about data structures, and hopefully, if there is time, finish the problem set for it. This week, I read only one book, which was Unlocking the Universe by Stephen and Lucy Hawking. And out of the 4 books by Stephen Hawking, which I read this year, which were A Brief History of Time, The Grand Design, and Brief Answers to Big Questions, this book was my favorite book so far. This book gives you a broad overview of all of the major topics in science, from driverless cars, the universe, quantum physics, and even pandemics. And the language is much simpler than the previous books that I've read from Stephen Hawking. And at times it was really simple, and it feels like the authors are talking to a child, not an adult or a young adult. But the book is written in a way that the concepts that are in the book are not something that a child would understand. Overall, it's a great book to get an overview of all of the STEM topics, and then after that you can decide in which direction do you want to go with other books. For next week, the plan is to read the Permanent Record autobiography by Edward Snowden, and if there is time left, I would like to continue with the Tokyo Ghoul manga series. And finally, here are the totals for this week and from the start of the year. So, for the non-learning goals, fasting was at 85 hours, which is a lot less than the previous week, but in total it is 400 hours since the start of this year. For the weight loss, I've lost 1.2 kilos or 2.65 pounds, and from the start of the year, which is January 1st, I lost 5.3 kilos or 11.7 pounds. For the courses, college algebra was 6 hours, Japanese from 0-1 was 4 hours, and CS50's Introduction to Computer Science was 4 hours. In total, it is 14 hours this week, or 55 hours from the start of the year. And finally, for the reading, Unlocking the Universe was at 5 hours, and that was the only book. The total is 5 hours, of course, and from the start of the year, I've read for 17.5 hours. And that's a wrap for this week. Even though it wasn't a perfect week, I still managed to get things done and get some progress. So I can leave you with this modified version of a famous quote: don't compare yourself to others, compare yourself to who you were last week. My next milestone is on February 2nd, which marks the end of the first month. If you don't see a video then, well, that means I failed, but I don't plan on that happening. Keep improving and see you in the next one. Bye.